My husband left our wedding suite for my bridesmaid, 6 hours after promising to love me. My new husband took off his wedding ring in our hotel suite. Married you because your name saved my company. Then he walked out to spend our wedding night with the woman who had held my bouquet at the altar. Callum thought the moment I said, I do, my money, my company, and my silence belonged to him. He was wrong. I was still wearing my wedding dress. The train spread across the carpet beside 2 untouched glasses of champagne. Callum stood near the door in a fresh white shirt, fastening his cufflinks as if he were leaving for a business dinner. Where are you going? I asked. He looked at me through the mirror. You should get some sleep. Is it Vanessa? For the first time that night, he smiled without pretending to be kind. Vanessa Cole had adjusted my veil before I walked down the aisle. She had held my bouquet while Callum placed the ring on my finger. During her toast, she had cried and called us perfectly matched. Callum picked up his jacket. Vanessa understands what it takes to keep a company alive. 3 years earlier, when Callum's company was days from losing its credit line, I had put my family's reputation behind him. I had convinced a bank to wait and defended him when my own board said he was too reckless to trust. I had believed I was saving the man I loved. For weeks, Callum had insisted our honeymoon flight could not leave before 10. He never explained why. Callum glanced at the unopened champagne. You really thought I married you for love? He asked. I married you because banks trust the Sloan name. You said you wanted a life with me. I want a future. That isn't always the same thing. He slipped his ring off and placed it beside my glass. You won't turn your father's name into a tabloid story over one imperfect night, he said. Your mother couldn't survive that humiliation. My father had been gone 11 months. Callum had stood beside me at the funeral and promised to protect what he built. Now he was using that grief to keep me quiet. Before he left, I saw a hotel key sleeve in his hand. 1417. He did not hide it quickly enough. He did not hide it quickly enough. Or perhaps he wanted me to see it. The door closed. Then the phone beside his ring lit up. Vanessa's name appeared above the first message. Get Audrey to sign the leave papers before the 8 a.m. vote. A second message arrived from Martin Hale, my chief financial officer. The proxy request is pending. Her secure confirmation is the last lock. Martin had worked for my father for 17 years. This was not only an affair. Someone had placed a transfer request inside my company's system, and Callum still needed my authorization to finish it. I reached for my phone, then realized it was gone. Both devices were the same model, both black, both charging side by side. Callum had taken mine. A new message appeared on his screen from an unknown number. Do not go to room 1417. That is what he wants. Check the proxy queue before midnight. My first instinct had been to run downstairs and pound on Vanessa's door. Then I saw the trap. The hallway cameras, my calls, my anger. Callum calmly telling everyone his bride had lost control. I locked the suite door instead. I removed my veil, opened the hidden compartment in my suitcase, and took out the secure device I used for board approvals. At 11:42 p.m., someone had submitted an expanded transfer of authority in my name. The document carried my electronic signature. I had never seen it before. The final confirmation box was still empty. At the bottom of the screen was an emergency option my father's. Lawyers had insisted on years ago. Initiate forensic hold. I pressed it. The device scanned my fingerprint. Then the status beside Callum's name changed from active to suspended. 3 seconds later, his phone rang. I let it ring. A message appeared. Audrey, what did you just do? Then another. Who told you about the transfer? PART2. I did not go to room 1417. At 7:55 the next morning, I entered the hotel ballroom wearing my wedding dress, without the veil. Callum stood near the stage with Vanessa beside him. He took the microphone before I reached my mother. Audrey had a difficult night, he told the investors and board. The pressure became too much. She made accusations and became confused. Vanessa lowered her eyes as if protecting my privacy. Callum placed a blue folder before me. A 30-day leave, he said. Sign it. And Lal, protect everything your father built. My mother touched my arm. Maybe just for today, darling. Callum smiled. He had already made me look unreasonable. I faced the board secretary. Is this meeting being recorded? Not yet. I turned back to Callum. Do you want everything you just said entered into the official minutes? Completely. The secretary switched on the recorder. I opened the folder without touching the pen. Vanessa, what time did you draft the announcement about my leave? Her face tightened. After your breakdown. The secretary checked the file metadata. For 18 yesterday afternoon. Our ceremony had started at 6. The room went silent. Callum reached for the folder. Metadata can be altered. The ballroom doors opened. Diane Mercer, his executive assistant of 29 years, entered carrying a sealed drive. Callum's face changed. Diane placed it beside the blue folder. He told me to destroy the original, she said. I kept it. Part 3. Callum recovered first. This woman stole confidential material, he said. Security, remove her. The guards hesitated, and I stepped between them and Diane. Don't touch her. She is presenting herself as a potential whistleblower, and no one removes her until independent. Council reviews what she brought. Diane's hands shook, but her voice did not. He used my company credentials to reserve room 1417, she said. Then he prepared an incident report saying I had done it without permission. Callum laughed. She is a frightened employee protecting herself. Diane met his eyes. I am frightened. That is why I kept copies. Our outside counsel, Raymond Ellis, connected her sealed drive to a clean laptop. Wedding flowers still covered the stage. Callum's ring lay beside the blue folder, and a photograph of us exchanging vows glowed behind him. Then the photograph vanished. A hotel invoice appeared. Room 1417 had been charged to a Drake Holdings corporate card. Diane's username created the reservation, but the login came from Callum's office computer. The next file was titled Temporary Wellness. Lavadri Sloan. It had been created at 4:18 p.m. and shared with Callum, Vanessa, and Martin Hale. My wedding ceremony had begun at 6. Raymond faced Callum. Why was a statement about Mrs. Sloane's breakdown written before the wedding? It was contingency planning, Callum said. Vanessa quickly added, communications teams prepare for every risk, even a bride's breakdown before she has one. Asked. He returned to the calm, regretful voice he used with bankers. This is a marital dispute. Audrey discovered something painful and froze a legitimate corporate process in retaliation. Then he placed my old emails before the board. One, written after my father's funeral, said I did not know how much longer I could carry the company alone. Another said I wanted a quieter month after the wedding. Callum spread them out as if grief were a resignation letter. I was trying to help my wife. Now she is threatening to companies because she is angry with me. Several directors shifted in their seats. If he made this about adultery, I looked wounded. If he made it about judgment, I looked dangerous. I am angry, I said. My husband left our wedding suite to meet my bridesmaid. I will not pretend that does not hurt. His expression softened as though my honesty had helped him. But I did not freeze the proxy. I froze it because someone submitted an expanded transfer of authority using a signature I never gave. Marissa turned her laptop toward the board. The access log showed that the device belonged to Martin Hale, the CFO, who had stood beside my father for 17 years. Part 4. Martin sat at the far end of the table, pale and silent. It was a draft, he said. A draft does not carry my electronic signature, I replied. Raymond opened the version history. The signature image was uploaded separately. Request was submitted 3 minutes later from the hotel's 14th floor network. Martin removed his glasses. I believed Audrey had agreed in principle. No, you believed I could be pressured into agreeing. After the document already existed, Callum stepped between us and lifted the bridge agreement I had signed months earlier. This proves Audrey authorized me to act. Martin was trying to prevent a funding crisis. That agreement gave you limited authority, I said. It did not let you move Sloan reserves into Drake Holdings or expand your power with a forged signature. I placed my secure device on the table. The hold only preserves the records and stops the transaction for 24 hours. Callum faced the board. She is using a technicality to destroy a company. Diane spoke behind him. He planned for that argument too. Raymond opened another file, an incident report, Diane for misusing her credentials and Martin for acting without Callum's knowledge. It described Callum as the executive who discovered the fraud and saved both companies, and it had been written 2 days before the wedding. Martin stared at the screen. You were going to put this on me. Callum did not look at him. You made your own choices. Martin's chair scraped back. You found the Westbridge loss during due diligence. You said you would hide it from the audit if I prepared the paperwork. Westbridge was a failed investment. Martin had falsely reported as recoverable. Callum's eyes hardened. Be careful, Martin gave a broken laugh. You already wrote my confession. Then he turned to me. I created the request. Callum gave me a copy of your signature. He said you would sign the leave papers in the morning, so the digital authorization would only save time. You knew I had not approved it. Father had trusted him for 17 years. I ordered Raymond to suspend Martin's access and preserve every device. Vanessa moved toward Callum. Tell them about the side agreement, when he snapped. Not now. She pulled a folded document from her purse. You promised me a board seat and 8% equity after the merger. Raymond read it. Callum never owned 8% of Sloan Meridian to give you, I said. Vanessa stared at him. You said the proxy converted after the wedding. It would have, Callum said. No, I replied. Marriage changed nothing. The Sloan Family Trust still held the controlling shares. You had a limited proxy, not ownership. Vanessa's voice dropped. You lied to me too. Diane leaned toward Raymond. There is one more file. A lender notice filled the screen. Drake Holdings had until 9 that morning to prove it had access to new capital, or its lenders could freeze credit and ask the board to replace Callum as CEO. Attached was his calendar, wedding at 6, board breakfast at 8, lender call at 9. I remembered asking why our honeymoon flight could not leave earlier. After 9, none of this matters, Callum had told me. He had not chosen our wedding date because it meant something to us. He had chosen it because his company was running out of time. Part 5. Callum straightened his jacket. People's jobs were at risk. Audrey knew Drake needed support. I did not know you planned to take control of my company to buy it. If you stop the funding now, thousands will blame you. There it was, his last shield. Employees who never knew their jobs were being used to frighten me into surrender. I am not stopping payroll, I said. Marissa displayed my continuity plan. Sloan Meridian would not release unrestricted reserves to Callum. An independent administrator would use existing bridge funds for wages, medical benefits, and critical suppliers while Drake's board reviewed management. The company could be protected without protecting him. You cannot do that, Callum said. The controlling trust can place conditions on additional support, I replied. His face drained of color. He finally understood he had never been standing between his employees and collapse. He had only made himself the obstacle. The board voted to keep the forensic hold, revoke Callum's proxy, reject my supposed leave, suspend Martin, and refer the records to investigators. Drake Holdings board and lenders would receive the evidence immediately. Callum leaned toward me. We need to speak privately. I glanced at the recorder. You wanted this in the official minutes. My mother rose. My daughter did not lose control. She was the only person here protecting what her father built. Callum searched the room for someone who still believed him. Vanessa would not meet his eyes. Martin spoke quietly to Raymond. Diane stood near the doors, finally breathing normally. No one followed him when security escorted him out. Over the next week, Drake Holdings suspended Callum. Its lenders froze his authority, but kept the company operating while investigators reviewed the forged signature, corporate card charges, and false documents. Vanessa lost her position and hired a lawyer. Martin was terminated and cooperated, though that erased nothing. Diane was cleared and protected as a whistleblower. I filed to end the marriage and preserve the disputed assets. After the ballroom emptied, my mother and Elle remained among dying flowers and half-cleared tables. "I told you to sign," she said. I believed him. So did I. She looked at the wedding ring. "I thought trusting him meant I had failed your father." I took her hand. "Trusting someone is not the same as giving them permission to betray you. And loving him did not make you weak," she said. That was the part I struggled to believe. Winning the vote did not erase the night before or return the years I had spent defending Callum, but it gave me somewhere honest to begin. 3 months later, Sloan Meridian's employees still had their jobs and retirement benefits. Drake Holdings continued under new management. My father's foundation opened its first family care center, and Diane attended with my mother. I did not wear the ring. It remained in an evidence envelope beside the proxy stamped void. Callum sent one letter. He blamed pressure, fear, and the humiliation of needing my help. He said he had loved me in his own way. I did not answer. For one night, I believed my marriage had taken everything from me. In the end, it only revealed what had never deserved a place in my life.